Yep.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Eastern Historic Commission meeting, December 13th, 2023. First off, Wayne, if you could please, on our Zoom rules.
Yes. This meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board commission members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count for a quorum. The meeting may be broadcast live and will be recorded on ECAT. To use Zoom, you will need to use the link on the agenda or download the Zoom application. And when conducting meetings remotely, we will endeavor to keep meeting operations as close to our standard procedures as possible. For meeting protocols, we will be doing roll call votes. So, state your last name and your vote. When members of the public, applicants, their item comes up on the agenda, we can promote them to panelists, and if they could, state their names for the recording secretary to put the minutes together, that would be really helpful. And do let me know. You can raise your hand or put comments in the chat if you have any questions or if you're having any technical difficulties. And Tim, like I mentioned, I'll be monitoring the attendee list to see if Mr. Bishop shows up. And
yeah, Mickey as well, right?
Yeah, I think Mickey's gonna just physically walk into Amy's meeting space there.
Right.
And then, could we do a roll call for attendance, please?
Hurley.
Spencer.
Yes.
Okay, that's 3 for a quorum.
Good.
And
we don't have anyone to
promote I guess when we know that Mickey is coming and we don't know if Bob is coming, would we proactively vote to promote Mickey as a voting member? Or let's wait until she actually shows up.
Just to keep...
Yeah, when they show up.
Yeah. You can't do it that way because then, she'd be considered there and she's not. So,
yeah, because we want her to actually be present for the.
Yeah. Okay,
thank you. And then, Tim, I know you often have some challenges actually seeing documents with your computer and your bandwidth. But I think we're at the point on the agenda to open the public hearing for 91 Union Street. If you wanted to do that, and then I can read the public hearing announcement.
Yes. Let's officially open that hearing.
Okay, great. And that is 6:35. The Easton Historical Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, December 13th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. to be held remotely to hear a demolition review request by Blackledge LLC, owner of the circa 1795 George and Sarah Monk House at 91 Union Street in Easton. This hearing is being held in accordance with the Building Demolition Permit Review Bylaw, Chapter 114 of the Code of the Town of Easton. The virtual meeting link will be contained within the Historical Commission agenda posted on the town website at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting. And then the Easton Historical Commission members are listed below. And this was posted November 9th, 2023, and the applicant and building inspector were informed. And Tim, as I mentioned earlier, the applicant sent us a written request to continue this public hearing. They're still considering various options for the 91 Union Street property and have requested that this hearing be continued to the next regular Historical Commission meeting on Wednesday, January 10th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
Right.
And if folks are amenable to that, if we could have a motion and a second to continue the hearing.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll
Second. Okay,
Oh,
Amy's second.
Thanks.
Hurley,
Emily.
aye.
Yep.
Hands
Hurley,
up.
aye.
Spencer, aye.
Great. Okay. Then that brings us to, thank you, everyone. That brings us to 48 Pond Street. Mr. Bob Stetson is here for that property. Let me promote him to panelist.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey,
Hello.
Bob.
I apologize for the construction noise in the background. I'm at my office in Boston and they are doing a fit out right next door. Apologies.
As long as it's not at 48 Pond Street, you're all set.
Well, not yet, but hopefully after tonight. I'm happy to, Mr. Chair, through you, I'd be happy to
Yes.
share my screen.
And do I need to do anything for you, Bob? I think with the webinar, you can just seize the initiative there.
Let's see if it works.
Perfect.
Are you guys able to see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So for the record, Bob Stetson, 48 Pond Street. Here is the revised plan. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. And so after the last hearing, there were a number of comments. We tried to, if not directly include in the plan, at least address with some methodology, which I'd like to walk you through tonight. So let's start with the areas that were addressed. For the second floor window on the top there, we did pull one out from this area on the right side. We did not do the same on the left side. And I'll come back to the reason why when I talk about the gable as well. But we did pull out one of the windows there. We did submit the materials here, including the simulated divided light windows. And we decided on the wood clapboard, as that kind of suggestion came through. I wanted to talk a minute about some of the other proposed revisions, both the gable style dormer instead of the shed dormer, and some of that, like the drip molding treatment and the transom that was suggested for above the picture window. And I think where the designer came down on it is there was, I think we did a lot of research on it, including consulting the Field Guide to American Houses. And we kind of felt that that 48 Pond Street was perhaps mischaracterized as a Queen Anne, when in fact it was more of a national style. And I do have some depictions that I think from the Field Guide that might help. Are you able to see that?
Not yet.
All right, so I might have to stop share and then start it back up. Just give me a second here. Now can you see it? Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay, good. So this is the from the Field Guide, which I'm told is the standard for historical American houses. This is the Queen Anne style that I'm showing here, and as you can see, this is really what 48 Pond Street is, and it's not just by contrast. I'll show you the Queen Anne style. It's far more ornamental than our home, and there are a couple of those on Pond Street, to be sure, but ours certainly looks more like a national style than this style. And so I think from the designer's perspective, what he put together was far more similar to what we have there now, which I'm going to try to show you. And he believes that especially with regard to the transom, which also we had some ceiling height issues in trying to incorporate that, but more particularly with the shed dormer versus the gable dormer, he felt that the shed dormer was more historically appropriate given the home that currently exists there. He also believes that it was more in scale with the home as it's currently constituted, in particular because it's so close to Pond Street. And so for that reason, he really believed that the shed dormer was more historically appropriate. I'm an amateur at all of this. I did try to do some research myself, looking around town. I definitely saw plenty of examples of shed dormers in homes, even on Pond Street, that were built in that, 1860 range. I did see one that was from 1870 that had the shed dormer on it on Center Street. So I do believe strongly that it is historically appropriate. And so we didn't incorporate that change, and that was really the only significant change that in my opinion, that we did not incorporate. So other than that, we think we've put something together that is historically appropriate, and we're really hoping that we can get moving with this project after tonight.
Bob, you alluded to the triple windows,
Yes,
and you're staying with those?
we're staying with them in the master. And so let me go back. I'm sorry, I went to the
That was.
what I want to show you is the Queen Anne style again. If you look at
Yeah,
the
I didn't see triple window anywhere, Queen Anne style on the second floor. That's just,
do you see that one on the bottom?
I don't think you can go around town and find one where you have 3 windows in that room, in that style house. Yeah, that's the first floor, isn't it? That's like a ranch.
It's a first floor. It's a different style home. I agree with you.
I mean, we're talking about the second floor, not the. I mean, you've got the picture window, which this is now on your first floor, right? I'm talking about the second floor master where you've got the triple. I've gone around town. There's not one house in town that has that, because the 2 window is just atypical of that style.
Well, as I said, we did take the window out on the other one. We're not willing to do it on that one.
Okay.
This isn't a project that we wanted, candidly, and I think we've really, worked very hard to make sure that this was historically appropriate. Greg worked very hard. He's adamant about it. We're adamant about it. So we hope that you'll approve it. If not, we'll wait.
Could we
Anyone-
have the design back?
Sure.
Ed, anybody?
I'm sorry, did that not show up?
No,
No,
you're
it's the-
fine. That's
Oh, okay.
We got crickets. I'm just wondering what's going on.
Well, I'm always willing to open my mouth, I guess. I really have no objection to the shed dormer. I mean, essentially the house next door has a large shed dormer. This does match up with additions that were put on some of our vintage houses over the years. So it kind of is in keeping with the, we built a house and then we added kids, and so we put a dormer on and blah, blah, blah. So I don't think it's necessarily out of keeping. As far as the windows go, I appreciate the change in the design of the picture window, but if we're okay with that and we understand the reason for that is the money shot is the view of the pond, and that's what's going to give it to you. It's sort of, you're in for a dime, now you're in for a dollar, with a perfectly understandable idea of putting triple windows in the master bedroom. I mean, in the design we have here, it looks as if the triple windows are smaller in height than the double windows in an effort to make them more proportional. I don't think it's a bad design. And my problem is the house that's currently there does have drip molding, but the problem is the way that the windows are masked now that would be inappropriate. So, again, I don't really have much of an objection to the way this is presented.
If I could just chime in there, I did write that down as something to mention, so I'm glad you brought that up, but that is something specifically that Greg had mentioned to me as well about the drip molding.
Anybody else? Where do we stand here with this, Wayne? I'm sorry.
Of course. So this is a continued public hearing on the demolition review application for 48 Pond Street. It was determined historically significant in September. At I believe the October meeting, initial plans and elevations were submitted. Feedback was provided. These are the revised plans and elevations that incorporate some of that feedback. So before the commission would be the determination of three options, not preferably preserved, then demolition would move forward. Preferably preserved, which would start the 12-month demolition delay period, or not preferably preserved, subject to conditions, the conditions being that the replacement house be built in accordance with the plans, elevations, material specifications submitted.
Anyone, any comment? I think we're at this point now where we're probably not perfectly preserved, but with the third option, C option, whatever it's called.
Yeah, subject to conditions. Yeah.
Yes, which we're at right now is these conditions. And if we're amenable to this plan, Bob, the barn was supposed to be included with this.
Yes,
point.
apologies. I do have that as well. Excuse me.
Okay.
There you go.
I can't get to the third.
Yeah, I know it. I'm for some reason I'm having a tough time moving it over. Let's see here.
Where's the balcony?
You want to see the front? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the balcony on the front?
It is.
Facing the back of the house, whatever. Yeah.
It is. Let me see if I can try the share again. Apologies. It didn't come up, did it?
Nope.
No.
We got you.
You got me. It was submitted. For some reason, I can't scroll over for some reason through the screen.
Did we receive this, Wayne? The bond?
We did, and you're moving now.
Yeah, but it's only going up and down. It's not. Oh, hold on a second. You know what it is? Oh, I think it's that part on the bottom that's not allowing me to go from left to right. Ah, there we go.
Okay, we get all into here. We are.
There we go. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Yes, we can see
All
that.
right.
Okay.
Perfect. There we go.
I love the first floor. I love walkout. I don't know why. So what's that dimension, Bob? This is a long, it's almost like they just call it a milking barn right now. It's a long barn, right?
Yeah, I know it's the same as whatever's there now. The only change in the dimensions is that to go for the septic variance, we had to, that first floor, which really is how it looks right now.
Yeah.
We had to bump that back a foot because we have so little space in the backyard.
Yeah.
For the septic. So we actually to even get the septic in there to code, we had to bump that out.
Right.
But other than that, everything I believe is the same.
So on this, is it any longer a garage or not? I don't
No.
see it.
No, it hasn't. There is a garage opening on where that door that you see up at the top of the driveway is. So that will be changed. There's no longer a garage opening, but it hasn't been used as a garage for, I mean, it's not safe to go in there. So we would never put a car in there.
I think it all looks good, and thank you for going back to the drawing board and making adjustments with Greg.
Of course.
I concur, although you can't see me on the screen here. I am here.
And I'm fine with this as well.
Can I make the motion to be not preferably preserved subject to conditions? C.
I'll second that.
Although I think we need to vote to designate you as a voting member, Mickey.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So if we could take a brief pause and have a motion and a second to designate alternate Mickey Wolf as a voting member for this meeting.
I make the motion.
Look at me getting ahead of myself.
Do we have a
I
second?
second it. Yep.
Thank you. Okay. Roll call vote.
Hands, yes.
Spencer, yes.
And
Can't
Tim
hear
is
you, Tim.
muted.
Yep, here I am. Hurley, I.
Thank you.
Wolf, yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and second.
For Mickey to be a
perfect.
voting member, she's now a voting member. Now we need the motion and second to find it not preferably preserved, subject to conditions that the new structure conform to the plans, elevations, and material specifications.
Would you
as
make that
submitted.
plural, please, Wayne? New structures?
New structures, of course, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
And I think Mickey just made that, so do you
I
want to do
did.
that again? Okay,
I
thank you.
seconded it. So
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And the roll call vote, Hurley, aye.
hands, I.
Spencer, I.
Wolf, I.
You're on your way, Mr. Stetson.
Thank you all very much for your thoughtful comments and for your time on this. It's really
You got it.
appreciated.
Thank
You got
you.
it.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Good luck.
All right, thank you. So as a follow-up, I will, send that formal notification to the applicant and the building inspector. Next up, we've got the 125 Depot Street demolition review application. And there are 3 folks in the waiting room. I definitely know Mr. Silverleaf is here for that, so I'm gonna promote him to panelist. Okay. Here we go. Hi.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. A question, an administrative question, Mr. Silverleaf, we have Walter Marioni in the sort of waiting room and also an icon identified as Jeff. Are either of those folks, should I promote them to panelist at this point?
Yes, if you would, Jeff neglected to type in his last name. I
No worries.
apologize, but he's our director of operations who will work
Got it.
directly with me.
Of course. Okay, Walter and now Jeff. All right,
Thank you so much.
absolutely.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Jeff. Oh, that's Walter. Hey, Walter.
That's Walter.
That was
Yeah.
Walter, yes.
I got the wrong glasses on.
That's
Walter.
okay. Jeff's okay. I don't mind being compared to Jeff.
Good
And
evening.
hi, I'm sorry, continuing with my somewhat tiresome sometimes administrative tasks. Jeff, what's your last name for the recording secretary?
Sure. Ewell, Ewell.
Awesome, thank you. And your director of operations, great. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
This would be the demolition review application for 125 Depot Street. And the MHC inventory form and some other materials were circulated to the group ahead of time. The way the Chapter 114 demolition review bylaw works is at the initial meeting, the commission considers the application and makes a determination as to whether a structure is historically significant based on criteria within the demolition review bylaw. And if it is determined historically significant, then a public hearing is scheduled. And at that public hearing, the commission deliberates and makes a determination as to whether it is not preferably preserved, demolition proceeds, not preferably preserved subject to conditions, as we just saw with the previous project. That's generally elevations and materials of a replacement structure, or preferably preserved, which begins the 12-month demolition delay period. I suppose, Mr. Silverleaf, if you could just give us a quick overview or a quick introduction to the project or the proposal.
This piece of land is contiguous to the 661 and 123 parcels of land that we had purchased last year for the construction of our Volkswagen dealership. We would obviously this half-acre parcel would be rolled into that project. So it really is just a continuation of the existing project.
And then a question. I understand that with expanding the parking area and so forth, there might be some additional site plan review or additional amended permits required. Have we started that process?
We've not started that process. We wanted to go through this process first.
Got it. Okay. And then Tim, Amy, Ed, Mickey. Thoughts, questions?
Adam, you really needed the last house, which is perfectly habitable, and we let you take it down. We get another house perfectly habitable that you're asking us to take down. Is this the last of that stretch?
I did not. These folks approached me.
Okay.
So this certainly. I think with any business, when somebody approaches you, you would consider the opportunity. But we don't see any need for anything else. We're not actively looking for anything else.
Well, as this meeting's going on, the thought came in my head that I wouldn't want to live next door to a parking lot, having had a neighbor before, and I'm wondering if this is going to be something that's going to spread up the road, and I want to see that happen.
I don't think it can spread more than the zoning.
Okay.
Zoning allows.
Okay. Second thought is you're going to have a well-lit area, and I know this is not our, we can think a little bit ahead here that I'm assuming, Wayne, I'm probably out of the zone here, but lighting is going to be a big deal for the neighbors around you, and I hope that's taken into consideration when.
Yeah, that would be, I think, a planning board and site plan review, but definitely a comment to make or suggest to them.
Yeah, and I'm happy to address that.
I don't want you blowing out the people across the street and everybody else, and just having the blowback that they never anticipated this happening.
No, of course, and we're certainly respectful of that. And at our Honda dealership in Raynham, we also back up to residences, and all the light is maintained on the site due to appropriate lighting technology and shields, etc. So the same would occur here as was occurring on the plan that was approved by the planning board.
Okay. The other thing is there, again, probably out of our purview, is there an agreement with your new next door neighbor as to how to separate? Is there a fence or shrubs or anything to delineate that now that a house will be missing?
So that neighbor, her property abuts ours in the back anyways. So we had an agreement to shield her property that was mutually agreed upon with A, the planning board, and B, also with her, and we would simply continue that line
Okay.
of buffering down to the end.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, we're starting to pull houses here, and things are going to happen to the next one in line. So I'd like to, again, probably beyond our purview, but just, a note to planning or whatever to make sure that next person is amenable to whatever changes are there, forthcoming.
Yes, we've actually discussed it with her.
Okay. Anyone else?
I've got one question and a comment, I guess. I hate the idea of taking in a age when there's a housing crisis, taking a habitable house and destroying it to put up a parking lot. But I think you're concerned that it's going to spread up the street is less likely if we continue to do our job, because the more historic homes in the neighborhood are the ones that are further up the street. There's a Revolutionary War era house, et cetera, et cetera. So if we do our job and go back to our 50-year ago determination that we want business in town, but we don't want the town to look like Stoughton, we should be okay. My concern, however, is that on the borderline between the property that was already taken down and this one, there was a stone that shows on the Macris file that you guys have available to you. That was a milestone marker that was in the center of Washington Street. While I was not on the historical commission, I repeatedly told Mr. Strange and Mr. Hurley about that and asked for it to be preserved. When I drove by today several times, I didn't see it, and I just want to know what's happened to it.
So that stone, we had talked to Mr. Strange and others and had agreed to preserve it because we were told it was on our property when we originally purchased the 661 Washington Street and 123 Depot Street properties together. However, when the property was staked, it actually was on the site of 125 Depot, which was not ours until very recently. When we closed on 125 Depot Street, we actively went looking for it, and it is gone. It had nothing to do with us. We actually looked at it with members of the committee who had come out to walk through the 123 Depot Street. They acknowledged it was not on the property. I could not take something that was not on my property. They acknowledged that as well. So between then and the time I purchased 125 Depot, that is long gone. Now I have no idea when they were moving if they did something with it, the folks that we purchased 125 Depot from, but that is gone. It was our intention to preserve it, but I can't preserve something that someone else has taken.
Is it possible, and this is a question to the commission, is it possible that the commission, in conjunction with the DPW, move that to someplace?
Not that I'm aware of.
Great.
Yeah, it was identified. The Adams City identified it with someone. So
yeah,
we could ask. I don't know how we'd ever get in touch with the previous owner. I'm not so sure why they would take it, or why it's
why it's gone.
Yeah. After all these years,
It wasn't the prettiest stone in the world, but it was
right.
historically significant
Yeah, I know you've mentioned it.
many
Mr.
times.
Well,
Chairman, the previous owner is local. They stayed in town and their attorney is local. We can, I mean, as long as you don't, tie it to what we're doing this evening as a
No, I would never,
courtesy.
I would
Yeah,
never.
yeah,
do-
no, I understand. I know you're not doing that. As a courtesy, I'd be happy to reach out and, in the next few days, and
That would
I
help.
don't know them, but I know their attorney personally. You guys probably all know their attorney too. I'd be happy to reach out to them and say, hey, can you ask the question and see
Yeah.
if we can get you an answer?
All
Yes,
right, I
thank-
appreciate that. Thank you. I think
Yeah,
that's the best we can do at this point.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that.
And I do.
I actually spent over a half an hour right after we closed, walking the property, combing it, looking for it.
It was prominently there. They landscaped around it with little
Yeah.
flowers, and I mean,
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
featured. Yeah.
And my goal was to find it. I was going to take it, put it away, and then when we came back, when the development was done, we had, our goal was to put up a historical marker and have you folks give us the verbiage for it with it underneath. So I'm disappointed as well.
Thank you for your concern. That's
Very strange. Very
that's
strange.
nice. I appreciate that.
Okay.
That was my only comment. I await other comments of the commission members.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Okay, we need a motion here. How do we want to find this? I think at this point, we're probably not preferably preserved. If anyone wants to correct me.
Not historically significant.
No, sorry, right. Yeah, not perfectly preserved. Yeah. Anyone make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion not perfectly preserved at 125.
Not historically significant.
No, it's significant. Yeah, I'm sorry again. At 125 Depot. We have a motion. It's been second. All in favor, Hurley, aye.
Hands eye.
Spencer, I.
Wolf, I.
Thank you all. Okay, you're all set.
Thank you.
very much.
I'll follow back up with
Happy-
Wayne on that issue.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you, Walter.
Take care.
And
Have a
I'll
good night.
send a letter to everyone in the next day or two.
Thank you. And happy holidays to all of you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
You as well.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you,
now.
you too.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have 20 Central Street. Have we got anything from them, Wayne?
We have not. So the 20 Central update is there is no update. Folks may
Okay.
remember from the last meeting that they had applied, well, they were found in violation of the demolition review bylaw. So therefore, for the next 2 years, the commission has to approve every building permit, not just demolition permits. They've applied to put a roof on the currently unroofed front office block, and there's a sort of a side gallery that goes along the side of the brook. Tim and I went out, met with them on site. The plans for the roof were anchoring into the wall. We had questions about how they were going to rebuild sections of the wall in order to anchor the roof, and also where the drainage would go. I spoke with the roof designer a couple of weeks ago, explained the questions. He said he would update the plans accordingly, and we've not seen anything submitted yet, so we don't really have an update for the commission to
Right.
act to approve a
Right.
building
Right.
permit for the roof.
And not to go too far backwards, but they need to do some serious structural reinforcing here before they throw a flat roof on it that's going to bear all the weight of snow,
Yeah,
potential
hopefully.
weight of that stuff we used to get called snow.
Yeah,
So we really went above and beyond, Wayne and I, where we should be in warning them that they had a problem. I don't know as though the building inspector would ever come out.
yeah, I think they're generally pretty good about going out
Yeah.
to take a look at things.
Yeah,
but-
but I'm not sure they would catch that or not. Regardless, they need to
Yeah.
do some, if they're gonna preserve this building and it's really cool, to do it right is kind of what Wayne and I promoted here, so we'll wait and see. Okay, next up is acceptance of minutes of last meeting, I believe.
I make a motion to accept them.
Second,
Motion made second, to accept the minutes. Hurley, I.
Spencer, I.
Wolf eye.
Hands abstains.
Okay. Think that's it, Brian?
I think we're done. Yeah, the next meeting would be on Wednesday, January 10. In 2024. So I think, Tim, you're a little bit frozen up, so,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
okay,
I'll
I'll
second
second
it.
that.
Thanks.
okay. Since Tim's a little frozen, if you'll forgive me, roll call vote.
Wolf eye.
Spencer, I.
Hands eye.
And we'll assume Tim is an okay to adjourn.
All right.
All right, thank you, everybody. 7:13 adjourn. All right, thanks. Yeah, happy holidays,
Good night.
everyone. Thanks
Good
for
night,
coming out
happy
tonight.
holidays.
Yeah,
Bye.
happy holidays.
Take care.
Bye.